Cassandra. Part 1. The lights dazzled. It was beautiful. Cassandra made her way up the busy street with her Christmas shopping. The bus stop was only 2 minutes away. Hopefully she won't miss the bus, like the other day. Half an hour she had to wait until another one turned up. Also at the time, it had rained. Cassandra looked at her watch. She should make it with a couple of minutes to spare. A man wearing a dark suit bumped into her, causing her to drop the bag. The man looked embarrassed. "I'm so sorry," he said. "That's okay. Accidents happen," she replied. The man stared at her, playing with his tie. "Sorry again. Stop apologizing. It was an accident, I get it, but because of you, I'll probably miss my bloody bus," she said, annoyed. He stared at her in a strange sort of way. This made her nervous. "Please don't get on that bus, stay with me instead," he said, with a serious look on his face. "I've got to go, if not I'll miss my ride," she answered. She picked up her bag and ran up the road. The bus passed her and stopped about 50 meters away under the little sign. Thankfully, there were a few people waiting, so she might just make it. The side door opened and everyone formed an orderly queue. She realized the man had followed her, while he shouted, "I can't physically stop you. It has to be your choice. Don't get on that bus, I beg you." What the hell was his problem? Finally, she'd made it, and went straight to the driver, showing him her ticket. She headed to a seat at the back, then sat down. The man stood at the side of the vehicle as he yelled at her to get off. She stuck her middle finger up at him. All of a sudden, a loud bang echoed through the bus. The man watched on as the vehicle exploded. "Why didn't you listen to me, Cassandra?" Next time, he would make things right. The sky above him swirled with a luminous mist, as the cycle was getting ready to repeat itself for the umpteenth time. Part 2. Yet again he found himself standing in the same spot, just in front of the newsagents. The man in the shop gave him a wave. He responded in a friendly manner. Now down to more pressing matters, stopping Cassandra from making the worst decision of her life. The street was busy, but he knew where she'd be in 10 minutes. He walked quickly in that direction. From afar, he saw her carrying a bag, and making her way towards him. Unlike all the other times when he tried to save her, he needed to succeed soon. The man knew he couldn't tell her the whole truth. It needed to be her choice, that was the only way. Without giving it much thought, he went into a nearby flower shop and bought some roses. His idea was to declare his love for her. It might put her off, for long enough so she'd miss her journey home. Please God, let this work. He saw her getting closer. He felt nervous. A couple of meters from her, he presented the flowers to the shocked woman. Cassandra looked at him oddly. "I saw you in the crowd, and I was mesmerized, so I brought you some flowers. I hope you don't mind," he said, feeling like a complete idiot. He tried giving them to her. "Thanks, but I don't know you," she replied, embarrassed. "I must get on, I've got a bus to catch." "Thank you anyway. I'm sorry if that seems rude." This wasn't working. What was he supposed to do now? He got down on one knee and started singing to her. She noticed other people staring at them. "I've got to go," she said, running up the road as quick as her legs could carry her. Within a minute, the bus was seen while it slowed down by the little sign. Cassandra made her way through the side door. She showed the ticket to the driver. She proceeded to a seat at the back of the vehicle, then sat down and noticed the strange individual, waving the flowers at her, and shouting something. It was already too late. Part 3. The lights were amazing as she left the shop. The comfort of her sofa was now in her mind. Last time she tried to catch the bus was a nightmare, but today, nothing was going to stop her from getting home on time. She'd been busy shopping for Christmas presents. Now all she wanted was a nice cup of tea. The journey back was only 15 minutes. Cassandra couldn't wait for the warmth of home. The snow that had been forecast hadn't arrived. It was chilly though. A man's face entered her thoughts. For some bizarre reason, he seemed familiar. It was difficult to explain. Who the hell was this person? She carried on down the busy road. "Get a grip," Cassandra muttered to herself. It had been a long day. Cassandra had worked from 9 until 4, then caught a bus straight up here to get the rest of the presents. As usual, she'd left it too late. It was the same every year, she never learned her lesson. All of a sudden, his face appeared in the crowd. She froze. Who the hell was he? Her first reaction was to hide from him. Maybe she'd seen him at a party not too long ago, and it was just a bizarre coincidence that she'd thought of him out of the blue. It certainly made no sense. She hid behind a parked car at the side of the road, then waited. She saw him stop a couple of meters from her, with a puzzled look on his face. She then heard him say quite loudly, "I don't understand, where is she?" He seemed stressed, while he rubbed his forehead. She needed to make her move now. On her hands and knees, she crept around the car away from him. At the front of the vehicle, Cassandra waited for a crowd to form before standing up and disappearing amongst them. Within minutes, the bus was observed while it stopped at the sign. Suddenly a scattering of memories flooded her brain, like kissing her husband at their wedding. Her son being born. She stopped, dropping the bag on the path. Something had spooked her. The bus pulled away slowly, then a terrific bang was heard. Flames engulfed the vehicle. She saw her horrified face in the back window. How was this possible? The man appeared from a nearby side street, knowing there was nothing else he could do. Part 4. He waved at the man in the newsagents. He still had about 9 minutes to get to the street where she would be. He was all out of ideas, and last time he'd lost her completely. If he didn't do something soon, she wouldn't have much time left. He needed to get it right. With haste, he walked up the road, hoping this time he would succeed in his mission. There were people everywhere, while they did their Christmas shopping. The man searched for her amongst the crowd. She was nowhere to be seen. He proceeded ahead, keeping his eyes peeled. Not knowing what to do next, a thought came to him. Maybe she'd figured it out, and was now hiding from him? But one thing was certain, in approximately 7 minutes, he would do his utmost to stop her getting on that bus. He ran as fast as he could, wishing this time would be the last time. Once at the bus stop, he waited patiently. A few people had turned up, while they stared at their mobile phones. Coming down the road was the bus, but where was Cassandra? The bus came to a halt in front of him. He looked through the many windows and saw 6 or 7 people sitting down. If only they knew. Within a minute, it pulled away, carrying on with its short-lived journey. A tear came to his eye, as it always did at this moment. He observed Cassandra's face, in the back of the bus, but something didn't seem right. Their eyes met for only a second. The explosion caused the concrete to shake. The man waited for the cycle to start all over again, as it always did. This time nothing happened. Behind him, a woman's voice said, "Where am I? For some reason, I'm starting to remember certain things." The man turned to her. He couldn't believe it, and replied, "My God, you're okay, but we need to hurry. We are both in mortal danger. With your memory coming back, this place will not exist much longer." "I don't understand, what do you mean? How come you look so much like my husband, but in a strange sort of way you seem different?" she asked. "Just trust me. Please, I mean you no harm. By the way, my name's Gary." She peered at him strangely. "It's nice to meet you, Gary. It's just a shame it wasn't under different circumstances," she said. The sky suddenly changed into a violent swirling mist which blew bricks off nearby buildings. It had begun. He took her hand. "Come with me now," he shouted through the noise. Other people on the street began to panic, clearly scared for their lives. "Where are we heading?" she asked, terrified as can be. He pointed down an alley. Both proceeded quickly in that direction. In front of them, a circle of light appeared. "This is how I arrived here, because I heard you calling for help," he said. In the street, the buildings crumbled to the ground. In a short time, the whole place would be destroyed. The man faced her with a grave look on his 20-something face. "We need to walk through the light to escape this, and we need to do it now," he said. She stared at it and it horrified her, then answered, "I can't. Please don't let me. I don't want to die." If I go in first and show you that everything is fine, will you follow me? If you stay here, you will die. That is a fact, he said. She was petrified by the idea, but agreed. Okay, but I don't like it one bit. They neared the circle of intense light. He placed his right foot into it, then looked round at Cassandra and winked. Doesn't hurt one bit. So are you coming? He held out his hand and she took it. Both walked in unprepared for what was going to happen next. Part 5. She opened her eyes and found herself in a bed. Slowly, her eyes became less blurry. She observed a man sitting a few inches away. He was asleep, then she realized it was John, her husband. She touched his shoulder. He opened his eyes, then saw his wife was awake. At that moment, the happiness he felt made him tearful. I thought I'd never see you again. She touched the top of his head, before answering, Why am I here? John didn't really know how to explain it, but said, You were involved in an accident while catching a bus. A stranger saved you. His identity is unknown. I'm afraid you've been in a coma for the last 9 days, since the terrible incident. I'm so happy you're okay now. I love you so much. I know you do, and I love you as well, but I can't remember much about the accident, she answered, shocked by it all. I know you don't, sweetheart, he replied. But I'm here for you, every step of the way. He spent the next 2 hours with her. When she started feeling tired, he decided to go. John left the ward relieved, she was now recovering. In the corridor, he couldn't help but think of a very sad time in his life. This brought a tear to his eye. John thought back to his twin brother who'd passed away 16 years ago. This is why he wasn't a fan of hospitals. I miss you, Gary, was all he said, meaning every word. He made his way down the stairs, which led to the entrance to the building. His next destination, home. The end.